Sorry. That was a little bit louder. Sorry. That was like a Sean Mullen. That was a Sean Mullen bell ring. Hey, I got the guns for it. It's just I'm polite. All right, welcome to the April 28th meeting of Rotary Club of Des Moines. I am President Catherine Staub, and we are delighted to have you here today. This is another one of our very special, very favorite education-focused meetings. At this time, Heather Stuyvesant is going to share a moment of inspiration, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance and the four-way test. Heather?
Thank you, Catherine, and thank you all for joining on one of my favorite meetings of the year. And today, I just wanted to just kind of mention a little bit about my own experience with the pandemic. And I have such a great respect for our teachers, and I always have, but especially now after the pandemic. You know, I have a son that is, his name is River, and he is currently a first grader at Hubble Elementary. And he entered kindergarten during the pandemic. And let's just say that virtual learning and kindergartners do not mesh very well. And I was just so impressed with how creative our teachers were in keeping our students engaged online. And, you know, I went into the school year thinking, all right, if my son needs to retake kindergarten, that's okay, we can do this, you know. Didn't have a lot of high expectations. And I'm very proud to say he is a first grader, and he is excelling at all of his subjects. And I'm just so amazed at our teachers and their capacity to pivot and change and be creative. And so with that, I just want to share a quick poem by Burl Edmonds that captures the essence of educators' dedication and their impact. Teachers proudly stand in the front of the class with knowledge and influence en masse, igniting a flame in curious minds, proficiently as the lessons unwind. Teaching, a calling that burns deep inside to instruct thirsty, inquisitive minds. Installing passion that leads to success, inspiring pupils to give their best, encouraging scholars' creative gifts, praising, applauding whatever is. Those who were taught well lived well, get ahead. Blessed are the teachers, it has to be said. It doesn't go unnoticed, the work involved, developing great people to evolve. All humble, nurturing teachers out there, thank you for your compassionate care. Those who go on to find their hopes and dreams, remember the teachers are who cast the beams. And with that, we will do the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now the four-way test. Is it true? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? And now go ahead and reach your neighbors.
Back to that one where that menu is on the side. And try another.
I supervise. Second grade is not
All right, well, we have a few technical difficulties, but that's okay. We welcome many guests today with our educators of the year, their friends and family and school support staff. We also welcome two Rotary guests that we would like to ask to stand as I introduce you. Andy, who's a guest of Christina. Andy, welcome. And Cliff, who's a guest of Sean Mullen. Thank you both for joining us. We would like to wish a happy birthday to Colleen Rogers Messenger today. And also, one of our members has a big birthday tomorrow ending in a 0. Typically, we only recognize birthdays when they fall on a Thursday, but 0 birthdays are like a big, big deal. So Bob Christensen, happy birthday. And I'm now going to 60, is that what I heard? I am now going to turn the meeting over to our Awards Committee Chair, Eric Fogg. Eric?
Thank you, Catherine. When our committee met earlier this year, I pointed out to them that some of the best work this club does is to recognize the under-recognized. If you think about that for a minute as a Rotarian, 2 weeks ago, we honored area high school students with scholarships. And in a couple of weeks, we're going to single out some of Des Moines' finest, in this case, firefighters and policemen. Again, the under-recognized. But today is special. I think it is. We single out educators. They lay the foundation for our future growth. Heather said, ignite the spark. Great choice of words. That's what we ask them to do. And every day, they encourage, support, and build up Des Moines citizens of tomorrow. Can't ask for more than that. I'm prejudiced, but when I told the committee that we recognize the under-recognized, I also told them that this was the most important thing I think this Rotary Club does. I also told them not to share that with any other Rotarians because we didn't want to embarrass any of the other committees, because they do great work, don't get me wrong. But I said I'm prejudiced, so I guess that's okay to say that. So, if we're going to recognize deserving people today, I want to take a minute to quickly identify the 2002 Educator of the Year committee members. And if you're here, if you please stand. Erica Axiotis, who is Vice Chair, Ashley Monenkamp, Gloria Gray, Clint Leonard, Eric Obergefell, Art Whitmack, Skeet Wooten, and Bob Verdal, who is the our Board of Directors liaison. Thank you all for the hard work you did in helping us pull today off. People often ask me about how these awards work, especially Rotarians ask about how these awards work, because there's a lot going on in this club and you can't always follow everything. But the genesis of this, the way this starts, is that the contributions as Rotarians you make to the foundation, the club's foundation, helps us with these awards. In addition, the $25 quarterly donation plus the weekly contribution, or in the case of the tumbler cash that you give, again, goes to help with the Educator Awards. So thank you, Rotarians, for the part you've played and for your continued support. This program, I had to ask Kitty, this program has been going on for, it ends at a 0, Catherine. It's been going on for 20 years. Can you believe that? We've been doing this for 20 years. And we've honored 80 educators. That's impressive. I just think that's wonderful. So you know that if you've never been on this committee, and it's a good committee, try it sometime. But if you've never been on this committee, the way it works is the principals nominate a teacher. They're the start of this process. And we'll hear from some of the principals later. But the next step, once you're nominated, is the educator is asked to fill out I think it's a 3-page form, which I thank them all for doing, because I'm not sure I'd do that. It's a lot of questions. A lot of questions, nosy questions about how do you do this, and why do you do this, and does this work, and what do you think? And This year we revised the format of the thing to make it a little more Rotary-centric, I called it. We shared with them some of the things that we hold as important and asked how that fit in their classroom. So we challenged them this year, and they did a wonderful job. And got it in on time. That we appreciate that. All of that work that they do makes it difficult for the work the committee has to do, because we've got to sift through all of this and find the 4 people that are here with us today truly deserving. The problem is, every application we get, it seems like Des Moines public school teachers are truly deserving. It's a wonderful thing for us to see and do and be part of. So when that's all done and we pick the winners, each recipient will receive a $1,000 stipend for them to use in their classroom for anything they might feel is necessary, or maybe, gosh, I hope it's a little something extra. It's the cherry on top of the sundae, whatever it is, teachers, please enjoy it. Enjoy doing that. You'll also get a traveling plaque, and we've got them here today, so you can see those if you want to hang around and check out the plaques. It's a traveling plaque. Their name will be listed on that plaque along with past winners, so you can kind of track to see where these plaques have been. I had an interesting experience. The big job the chairman of the committee has to do is he has to go around and pick up the plaques from last year. That's all they let me do. Oh well. Anyway, I went to get one at a school that will remain nameless, and the teacher came to the office and said, kind of sheepishly, she said, "I don't have it, it's at home." And I said, "Oh, that's okay." And she said, "I thought I got to keep it." Well, all those other people whose names on there probably wouldn't want to hang in your kitchen, wherever you got it. So we got it back. But okay, the 4 of you remember this thing's going bad, right? And I'm coming to get it. So I'm not taking any excuses this time. The other interesting, exciting thing, and I don't think we told the winners this, but your face will appear on a billboard. Thanks to a co-sponsorship we have with Lamar Advertising. It'll appear on a billboard in the greater Des Moines area and rotate around the city. So you're going to be driving down the road one of these days and see your smiling face. That'll be exciting. And so will your neighbors and your friends, and your mom will see it. That'd be great. It'll be great. This year we're honoring 4 educators, 2 from high schools, 1 from middle school, and 1 from elementary school. And we're very pleased to have the honorees here, and for your friends and family members that you've invited to be here, we're equally as pleased to have them here. We're also very pleased to have the Des Moines Public School Interim Superintendent, Matt Smith, and Matt has agreed to share a few words with us. Matt?
That's pretty, it's a tough act to follow. A lot of jokes, a lot of laughter. I don't have a lot of that. And I also just noticed that it's kind of dangerous to give me a microphone. And some of these administrators will kind of admit to you, I could go on for hours, actually. Especially when I'm talking about educators in Des Moines Public Schools. Because you can't say enough about them, right? You can't say enough about the magic moments that they create each and every day for kids and for families. And I'm going to try not to get emotional, because I'm an emotional leader. I'm going to tell you right now, I lead with emotion, I lead with my heart on my sleeve, because I think this job is personal. It's personal when you show up every day and you've got kids in your lives that are putting, literally, their lives in your hands, and you're there to take care of them and to educate them and to make their lives better each and every day that they walk out of your doors. And that's what this job is about, and that's what these 4 recipients today are here to exemplify and represent a huge 2,000 teacher staff that they will all agree are all very much deserving of this. But I can tell you these 4 are among the very best. We've recognized 80 teachers over the course of 20 years. I don't know all of those 80 teachers. I know these 4. I know them through their principals. I know them through their colleagues. I know them through how their students speak about them. I can tell you these 4 will rise to the top of all 80. Every last one of them. Because educators of the year always have similar sort of characteristics. They're enthusiastic, they're creative, right? They have profound impact on students, and they all bring an innovation to their instructional pedagogy, all of them. But I can tell you that these 4 bring attributes beyond that criteria. I was asking some of their principals and some of their colleagues and some students about them. Because you hear about them not just in their building, you hear about them in other schools. They have a reputation for instruction and for learning beyond the walls of their schools. And I don't know that they always know that. I don't know that they always hear that, but they do. And I was looking for themes that rise to the top about all 4 of them. And it was clear as day to me. And I'm going to summarize it very quickly from St. Francis of Assisi, right? Because that's actually what these folks represent. They are saints. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you that right now. They're saints every day. But beyond the creativity, beyond the innovation, and beyond the instructional innovation and enthusiasm that they bring every day, each of these educators, Lisa, Sarah, OC, and G, where there is despair, they sow hope in children. Where there is sadness, they sow joy in children. And where there is hatred, these educators sow love every single day. Thank you so much, Rotary of Des Moines, for recognizing them. They deserve every last bit of it. Thank you.
Thank you, man. We appreciate your participation here today and your short words. You weren't very long. We had a hook over. We won't talk about that. So now we got to get to the important stuff. I told you everybody gets a plaque, and I thought I'd show you one, what they look like, and you can follow the years to see how many from your school have won. To see if maybe you're. I don't think anybody here's the first, but this is the plaque that they'll get, and we'll pass that out afterwards because you don't want to run on with this heavy hardware that we've got here. But this is what comes back, okay? Okay? This is what comes back. You don't get to keep it just for a year. You can take it home for a year, but you got to have it in school when I need to get it back. Okay? All right. I told you this whole thing starts with the principal, who is. For the teachers, the committee talked about, we didn't talk about sainthood, Matt. We talked about maybe medals, deserving of medals. And beyond that, the principals are deserving heaven knows what else besides that. So we thought it'd be great, instead of us telling you about this teacher, we'd let the principal do that. And so we're going to ask Principal Jolene Liebel to come up here and talk with us a minute about the award-winning educator at her school at Hanawalt Elementary.
Hello, I'm Jolene Liebel, and I serve at the most amazing school in Des Moines, which is Hanawalt. And I work with an educator that loves children more than anything. And she grows her students beyond belief in that second grade year. So when I say amazing, I truly mean it when I talk about Sarah. Students come first with her. She's the kind of educator you want your child to have. She knows how to scaffold learning, she knows how to have high expectations for her students, and she knows how to get them there. She understands the importance of leading her team, because she is a second grade leader for the team. She relates to the students, she helps parents, and she encourages all people to do their best. It is my pleasure to introduce Sarah Von Arb.
candidates for this distinction. My name is Sarah Langle von Arb, and along with my principal Jolene here today, I'm here with my husband David and my son Nick. It means so much to have them here. Teaching is my dream come true, and to be recognized for it is an honor. If you would take a peek back into my past, you would see a little girl with long braids playing school every day after school. And I dreamt about it. If someone asked me, what do you want to be when you grow up? My answer was always to be a teacher. After graduating high school and attending college, a series of events led me to move to Des Moines in 1994, and I was 22 years old. My brother, Pat Langle, had just bought a house in the neighborhood in Des Moines, and he let me move into his basement to let me get on my feet. At that time, his house was 2 blocks away from Hannawalt Elementary, and when he was showing me around the area when we went on one of our little walks, we walked by Hannawalt, and he had told me how lucky he felt to have moved to Des Moines and to the area because he had heard so much from his friends that Hannawalt was a wonderful school to be at for parents and for children. And I clearly remember walking by the school with him, pushing our kids at the time, and seeing the building and wishing, I wish I could teach there someday. And after working at a job in banking for years, I went back to college to get my teaching certificate, and my dream of becoming a teacher finally came true. And in 2004, I was hired at Hannawalt Elementary, and I have been there ever since for 18 years. And many things have changed, as everything does with time, but 2 things have stayed the same. One is the dependability and the tenacity of my colleagues. My coworkers and people of Des Moines Public are caring people, and we lean on each other with laughter and with understanding. They are invaluable. 2, the love and energy of the kids. They are good kids, and they are actively seeking a path to become everything that they're meant to be. And they want to share, and if you listen to them, you can discover their magic, that they want to make the world a better place. And that's why I choose to take special care of them every day. To the Rotary Club of Des Moines, to my wonderful husband and son, to my hardworking principal and all of my colleagues, and especially to my students, thank you for helping to make my dream come true.
Thank you, Sarah. That was inspirational, to say the least. Next principal we're going to hear from is Associate Principal Boston Freilinger, and he's going to introduce our next winner.
Thank you, everybody. It's been my honor and privilege to work with Lisa Freed the last 5 years, first as at my time at Meredith and now my time at Hoover. Lisa's orchestra is truly the soundtrack of Hoover. They perform at our National Honor Society, Senior Awards. She's hardworking at the musical right now, which is a ton of time. Assemblies and anything else that we ask her to do. She wants and needs to influence as many students as she possibly can. She's committed to growing her program. Lisa has the unique opportunity to have students for 7 years. She's at school before I'm at school, doing extra practice with groups. We were just talking about one of her graduates that's getting married, and of course, Lisa's invited to the wedding. I never invited my middle and high school teachers to my wedding, but that speaks to who Lisa is. They come back when they're on break to help tutor students and give lessons. She creates a safe space for all of her students to feel welcome and supported and really part of her family. I wish I had everybody in my building with the commitment that Lisa has. And I just wanted to, this is a quote that I put in my recommendation. I think it's important enough to read it verbatim. In a time when core classes are at a premium and students have less time for electives, let alone the arts, we need to recognize their power. This starts by celebrating the excellent work of our teachers do to support and grow our students into young adults. They inspire students to develop their skills and find their voice. We cannot do that at Hoover and Meredith without Lisa Freed, and that's why it's my honor to be able to introduce Lisa.
Especially after I follow him. Well, thank you so much, Rotary Club, for recognizing teachers. It reminds us that we matter, even in the midst of our crazy schedules, and especially in the past couple of years, when we've worked extra hard to keep some normality in the children's lives. Boston, thank you for your kind words. I appreciate you for recognizing me through my students. They are really my heart. I want to thank my family for being patient with me. I teach 10 ensembles for two buildings. That means I'm not home a lot. And I also have trouble saying the word no. My husband's nodding at me. If I'm asked to provide my students an opportunity to share music, I will absolutely try to figure that out. So my answer is usually, I will figure that out, not no, never will I say no. My students love performing. It's a way, Boston said about finding their voice, but it's finding themselves. They find a place where they find their people. And even if they're not excelling at their musical instrument, there was a line in the poem about applauding, and I would like to know that line. I want to put it on my board. It's perfect because students don't have to excel in the arts to feel special and to feel loved and successful. They just have to find themselves in that. Students, my students. If I were up here getting an award for my students, this speech would be so much easier because I love giving the awards to them. That's the highlight of my year. Giving them confidence and having them share their music is just the small portion of what we teach in the arts. We teach responsibility. I had them make a list on my marker board once about everything they learned in my class that has nothing to do with music, and it was full of things. And they thought of all those answers themselves. And I'd also like to thank my colleagues, my string colleagues in Des Moines. GMPS is an amazing school district that has orchestra, but not all school systems have orchestra. And we work very hard together. If I need a quick answer to something or a piece of music, my colleagues are just a text away. We support each other, we work together, and I wouldn't be the educator I am without my colleagues, so I thank them. And lastly, one of the things that I hope I teach my students is kindness. especially with social media and things that are going on in the world. Every day at rehearsal, I remind them that we need to be kind to each other and to focus outward and not inward. Thank you so much. The stipend that I'm receiving will go towards purchasing 2 violins and 4 scholarships for Summer Strings Camp this year. Thank you again.
Lisa, thank you again for sharing that insight into what you do and how you do it. That's why we invited you here today, all 4 of you. That's why we invited you here today. Lisa has a dual role. If you didn't catch that, she's at Meredith some days and then at Hoover at other days, and I don't know how you keep track of all that. You must write it down on your calendar or something. She's doing double duty, so that you only get 1 award though. Okay, now we're going to hear from the principal from Roosevelt High School, Stephen Shephog. Stephen?
Good afternoon. I'm taking notes on 2nd grade because my daughter's going to be a 2nd grader at Hannawalt next year, so pretty excited that Sarah might be her teacher. I was here last week for the student scholarships, so it's such an honor to be with you again and to thank you personally for the commitment you have to public education. We need all of it that we can get. We're asked every year to do more and more with less, and our teachers that are here today exemplify what our teachers in all of our buildings are doing, which is responding to that challenge. It is an unfair challenge. It is not a kind challenge, but we are standing up and doing it because we love kids and they deserve nothing but success from us. So we will continue to rise to the challenge, but as leaders, servant leaders in this community, please don't just advocate for us in this space, continue to advocate for us in every space, because we need all the goodwill and fortune that we can get in our society. So thank you for this, and thank you for all you do beyond this space as well. But the main reason I'm here today is to recognize O.C. Lowry. And this is my first year as a principal. It's quite a challenge and an exciting adventure. And when I need to escape and find a happy place, O.C.'s classroom is one of those spaces that I go to. Because when you walk into his room, every student is expected to learn Algebra 2. And so at our table with Bob, he was talking about how maybe if O.C. was his teacher, he'd go into biochemistry, but he didn't make it because he wasn't fond of math. And I share that sentiment with Bob. I'm not fond of math either, but I love going into O.C.'s room because he doesn't make math intimidating, even at Algebra 2. So he is the gateway to students going on to accelerated math in Des Moines Public Schools, and even those who are scared of math find that space to be a space they want to be because he makes math not intimidating. He helps accept students for who they are and where they're at. He meets them where they're at, and then he pushes them beyond. In October, we started a new tradition at Roosevelt High School, Staff Champion of the Week. I was in his room doing a walkthrough. He was dropping Beyonce references. Kids were hanging on to every word he had. I had never been in a math classroom where I laughed. Ever. Ever. I've never laughed in a math classroom. I ran out of the room. I got on the radio and I said, every administrator must come to my office now. I don't care what you're doing. And I said, I'm not joking. I was new. They didn't know if I was serious. I was like, seriously, come to my office. And I said, I just watched the best math class I've ever seen in education. And I went to the debate trophy case, I got a trophy, and we walked into O.C.'s room. And we started the Staff Champion of the Week award that day because of how we were moved, how I was moved by what I saw from O.C.'s class. So it was a no-brainer for me when the nominations came out. And with that, I'm happy to introduce O.C. Lowry, the High School Educator of the Year from Roosevelt.
Part just in Roosevelt, but I guess not. Okay. No, it's all good, all good. So first of all, I do want to thank the Rotary Club of Des Moines for the opportunity that you've offered to celebrate and highlight up to 80 educators at this point over 20 years. It's amazing, that commitment to continue that work, especially through all the different challenges that we've gone through in the city, as a state, and as a nation. I gotta give all the kudos and props to my wife, Kamika, who's here with me. As an educator, there's a lot that you try to not take home, but as we know, if you feel something in your body, it comes out one way or another. And she has been my rock. She has been through all the ups and downs. There's so many stories I can share with you, but she has always been the person to pick me up when I am down and always just continue to encourage me. And also my 3 kids who are not here, but I know they'll probably find the video because my daughter is a 6th grader and she's starting to get used to YouTube, so I want to recognize them as well. A lot of thoughts went through my mind regarding what I wanted to really kind of highlight in my remarks, and it really comes down to the statement that I am the product of those who poured life into me. Those who I was raised with, those that I grew up with back in Houston, Texas, those that, as I came here as a 17 or 18-year-old child coming to Drake University, when I thought I was coming to Duke, I did not know that I existed. I don't guess I will admit that openly. I knew it was in the middle. I knew it was a direct flight from Houston, Texas, and if I need to get back home, 2.5 hours, I am back south. But through all of that, through going through being isolated, through meeting new friends, through meeting my wife at Drake University, through being a Roosevelt baby, being a place where I've student taught there, and I've spent the last 15 years of my teaching career there as well. Recognizing that I did not get to this position by myself. There's so many people along the road I would take all the time naming them, but just acknowledging the other teachers who pour life into me. Acknowledging those other teachers that make me raise my bar of excellence. My coworkers, my staff, they will tell you that I'm quick to say, I am not the best math teacher. I am not. I am striving. I am quick to highlight others around me because I recognize that if we're constantly challenging each other, then our students will reap the benefit of us constantly pushing ourselves to be able to be as great as we possibly can be. And so the other thing that comes to mind is thinking about our students, my students, who I affectionately call my babies. I know they're 16, 17, 8-year-old young adults, but I see them as my children because my own children are in the Des Moines public school system. And I began to tell them that I see you as the future of my kids. So I see you being the ones who are going to build up and uplift this city. And recognizing that I play a very small role in your life and journey. And as Principal Shea Paul mentioned, I know some kids will excel in the mathematical field. They will go into STEM and do amazing things. There are others where Algebra 2 is the stopping point in their math career. They are like, after this, I am not taking another math class. I don't care what Pythagorean theorem means. I'm going to leave after this. And so the one thing I want all of my students ever to leave with is to recognize it's never been about the technical math. It's been about relationships. It's all about how do you relate to someone else. It's all about how do you communicate your thought to someone else. It's all about taking something you don't know, breaking it down to, as my students will let you know, I said break it down to the brake pads and then build it back up. That is the skill that I want all of my students to leave with. Because no matter where they go, the ability to relate to anyone in any place over anything is the very thing that's going to make them excellent in whatever field they're in. And if they come back and say, Ms. Lowry, you made a difference in my life, that's the true reward for me. That is the medal that I take with me, because I've impacted not just their life, but generations to come. So the Rotary Des Moines, I thank you. I appreciate this opportunity. Continue to celebrate our fabulous teachers in all areas and all spaces. Once again, thank you.
Thank you, OC. I can see why the principal says best math class ever. That's an oxymoron. I understand it more than you know. Last but surely not least, we're going to hear from the Associate Principal of Central Campus, Lisa Hill.
this is a Lisa thing. Right? So, I'm Lisa Hill, the Associate Principal at Central Campus, and I have the honor of introducing Jean Bales to you. But before we bring Jean up, I want you to think, when I work with new teachers, I often ask them, who was your favorite teacher? So if you think for a minute, who was your favorite teacher and why? And that favorite teacher stood out different from the others because they listened to you, they understood you, they took time, they greeted you with a smile, and they made you feel special. And that's what we have in Jean Bales. We brought the Business Academy back to Central Campus last summer. We were like, we got to get a business teacher, we got to bring it back. Business is important. We can prepare kids for their future. So we had this dilemma of finding this teacher, and sometimes finding teachers after a pandemic is like finding a needle in a haystack. It's very hard to do. But we found Jean, and we were very, very lucky. We didn't have a whole lot of kids sign up at first. Central Campus has kids coming from all 5 high schools, and 22 other school districts send us high school kids. So Jean started the classes. We said, here you go. And in 1 semester, she doubled all of her classes in size. And in 1 year, next fall, she will have over 300 kids coming to her. Because she's that teacher, that favorite teacher that's kind, smiles, greets kids, how are you doing? She takes them where they're at in that moment and then moves them forward. Jean is a very talented teacher. She's taught in Southern Iowa. She was a curriculum director down there. She taught in Davenport. She's been an accountant. You've done a lot of different things. So we were lucky and we snatched her up. And so I am so pleased to introduce to you Jean Bales.
Thank you, Lisa. This microphone is just a problem for everyone here. Thank you to the Rotary Club. It really is an honor to be recognized among my colleagues. It's my privilege today to be here with my husband Tom, who's always been my biggest supporter. We did invite our 14-year-old son Cooper, and he chastised me that he probably should not miss his AP class to go to lunch. And so, who am I to argue? So, Cooper, good choices. One of the tenets of Rotary is being fair to all concerned. And that, I think, applies to education, too. So, in my mind, what does that mean? It means meeting kids where they are and giving them what they need. And it might be extra academic support, it might be social emotional support, it might be giving them an extra challenge or a little push to go a little further. It means genuinely and unconditionally caring about them as the individuals that they are. It means showing grace when they inevitably make mistakes, as we all do, because there's learning in those moments too. And it means empowering kids to speak up and create spaces where they feel safe to do so. To be recognized by Rotary for my role in that is truly humbling. This is not an award I could have received without the clear leadership of my director, Tasha Brown, and without Lisa, nor without my instructional coaches at Central Campus, Drew Feldman and Ashley Scriver, who challenge me and support me on a daily basis. And not without the collaboration of my professional learning community, which is a group of teachers. We meet twice weekly, and our goal is to figure out ways to positively impact students and student achievement. It really does take a village. I would like to accept this honor on behalf of all my Central Campus colleagues, the teachers, the instructional coaches, the administrators, the counselors, the support staff, everyone who comes together every day to make sure that our students not only learn the content, but feel valued and respected as people. Education is not always easy. It takes leaders with vision and determination and teachers with open hearts and open minds. That is Central Campus. That is what you will see anytime you walk through our doors. It is a truly remarkable place, and we love to have visitors.
So I would like to invite all of you to come visit us and see the magic that is happening in our building every day. Thank you so much for this honor.
Gene, thank you. Tell your son I said he missed a great opportunity to hear his mom in action. That's wonderful. I neglected earlier to ask Matt to introduce two other administrators who are here with us. Matt, if you can just stand up and quickly.
You bet. There's so many incredible administrators, and many of them are in the room. I also neglected to introduce you to my counterparts and two individuals that I lean on and trust implicitly and explicitly. Executive Director of Schools, Tim Schott, and Director of Elementary Schools, Barry Jones.
Thank you, gentlemen, and thank you for the work you do. We appreciate it. We do. I want to thank all of you for being here today to help us honor the 2022 Rotary Educators of the Year. I think you can agree with me that it's a deserving group, for sure. And to this year's winners, I think we've said it all, maybe, except it's worth repeating. Thank you for the work that you do. It's important and it matters to all of us. We just may not say it all the time, but it matters to all of us. And so the only thing we can tell you is keep up the great work. You are appreciated. Thank you.
All right, Eric said it all, so I'm going to jump to upcoming meetings. Here at the Embassy Club, please think about somebody you know who may enjoy hearing from our speakers and invite them to an upcoming meeting. Just a reminder that you and your guests need to be registered by 9 a.m. on Wednesday. So May 5th, we have Lance Henning and Lisa Hauser from Habitat for Humanity. May 12th, no meeting, but hopefully you can meet a Rotary Club of Des Moines friend for lunch somewhere on that day. And then May 19th, we are right back here with Judge Belcher, District Court Judge. Thank you very much for being with us today. Thank you for all of you in education who are devoted to every day, day in, day out, to the future of our community and our world. We are deeply appreciative of that. Thank you for Andy and Cliff for being with us today as our guests, and the rest of you, thank you for being members of Rotary Club of Des Moines. We are adjourned.